a lot of people ask us how do you get an app made? How do you go from I have an idea for an app to I have an app? And frankly, there's lots of different ways. There's lots of different companies you can work with. There's lots of different partnerships you can create. In broad strokes, I think there's a few different buckets though of how you can approach it. The first, what I see a lot of people do is they look overseas for development. There's a reason for that. Overseas development can be a lot cheaper. And when you're building your first app, of course, you want to try and save money. The challenges with building overseas, however, is that if technology isn't your first language and their language isn't your first language, there's a lot of opportunity for confusion and there's a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong. So projects that realistically should take 3 to 6 months end up taking 9 to 12 months. They're things that never end up getting built the way you always envisioned it. And it's not necessarily because of bad development as much as it is communications. And communications is obviously vital to any endeavor. Building an app, you really need your team to communicate. So you can also look to bring somebody in who can kind of work for you, an independent developer, a solo person who maybe has built a couple of apps, has an app in the store, and they're going to try and take on your challenge. Again, this is something that can work, but what we've seen over time is that if you're going this direction, invariably every project that you begin is going to have some sort of an unknown roadblock that you didn't know you were going to hit. And there's a lot of independent developers who are out there who have a great network of people that they reach out to and ask questions, and I think that's how a lot of that development happens. But there's also a lot of people who take on projects not necessarily knowing all of the unknowns that they're going to find. And we've seen a lot of projects brought our way into what we lovingly call the metal repair shop, where projects have been built, they get to a certain phase, and then for whatever reason, usually a small team behind it can't get it over a certain roadblock. So if your idea is simple, if it's something that's been done before and you're working with someone who knows how to build it, it's not a bad idea. But if you really are trying to build something scalable, or you're trying to build something new, working with a few solo people isn't always the best way to go. A subset of that is you can also hire your own team, bring them in-house and take those same people and grow out your technology team that way. If you have the budget and the time for that, it's not a bad way to go. Over time, the team starts to get to know each other, and you can build a really solid piece of technology around a group of core people. On the flip side, if you've never hired engineers before, and you've never hired technology folks before, and you've never managed a technology team before, it can also be a dangerous thing because not casting any dispersions on anyone, but it's easy to hide in a technology team for months and not necessarily know what you're doing. And so sometimes you can go out and hire a great team, it can look like everything's working, and then all of a sudden, one day, nothing is working, and you really can't figure out where that's coming from. And then the last way is you can go out and you can hire a development shop like ourselves. Like, there's great development shops out there. We're not the only ones. But I think when you work with a development shop like us, what you're going to get is you'll get a cross-functional team so that we've seen all the different things from different angles before. And ideally, a partner is going to give you a dedicated product that you can speak your language, understand your goals, and then translate those goals and those needs to a larger team who can execute.